Hey guys, this is going to be game 3 of Brawler Bash. I'll be taking on Brettonia. The scenario for this one is it's kind of complicated. First of all, there's a Leprechaun token that's going to be in the center of the table. Now, at the end of each full turn, if you have a unit within 6 inches of the Leprechaun, you get 100 victory points. But at the same time, it also casts Final Transmutation. And this cannot be dispelled at all. It doesn't cause stupidity, though. Now this will affect any units within 6 inches of the token. So with my trolls and savages, I don't want them really be anywhere near it. He doesn't want any of his knights in it because you don't want to lose a knight on a 5+. So this is going to be kind of scary. But luckily I have night goblins I can put in there, and he's going to have like small lances he might want to put there. But it's going to be much more difficult for him to claim these points than it will be for me. Now also at the end of the game, if you have the largest unit with fortitude within 6 inches of the token, you'll get an extra 300 points. So this is the easy way to sneak in towards the end and try to get an extra 300 points. Taking a look at my list again, and if you've seen my other videos, you know this list by now. The main thing you need to note is that Orcs and Goblins versus Brettonians, this is like Doom Diver Heaven, this is Troll Heaven, all those knights. This is what they look forward to. A goblin, his life is complete if he can kill himself onto a knight flying through the air. And as we look at the Bretonian army, this is fairly standard. He is going to have a ton of paladins. So many paladins. I think this is kind of common with Brettonia now. All these little 80-point paladins, how can you not take it? That's just a great bargain. He's going to have multiple lances. Now, it's like each one of his knight units is going to have a banner. And it's like kind of confused and trying to keep track of them all, but basically his general in level 4 and BSB will be in the one that has the +1 leadership. He's going to have a flaming banner, the +1 movement, and then he has Twilight Banner, which is going to let him be ethereal and move through impassable terrain. And when you see this board, there's going to be lots of impassable terrain, well, especially one big piece of impassable terrain that makes this banner very useful. He has a bit of chaff. And then he has his 2 trebuchets and 2 units of archers, which I think is interesting. And they don't have banners, so I'm kind of confused about why he didn't give them banners for fortitude. Now let's look at his setup. Now going from left to right, these are the banners as I remember them. The one on the left here has a flaming banner. Then next to that will be the +1 movement banner. And then in the center that has his BSB general on level 4 will be the +1 leadership banner. Now I think the Swiftness banner also has the level 1 damsel. I think every one of these has 2 paladins as well. And then in front of them he'll have his mounted yeoman and a small lance. And then that big lance on the far right will be the Twilight banner. And that also has 2 paladins. And he has his 2 trebuchets, his 2 units of knights. And behind the building will be the Pegasus Knights, which you can't see them right now. Now we look at my deployment, and I make a big mistake here when I think the Leprechaun says it's a token, so I just assume a token I can move right over it. And then when you read it more closely, it says the token is impassable terrain. So that's going to make that another, again, impassable terrain in the center of the table, and this time you can't even kill it. It's unkillable. It just stays there in the entire game. So it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for me to maneuver around it. But at the same time, it's going to make it where it's harder for him to do lots of multi-charges at me. So it's kind of a toss-up of who that hurts the most. But it's more helpful for me because he can't afford to lose knights on a 5+ at the end of the turn, where I can't afford to lose the trolls, but savages and goblins, I don't care. I mean, well, savages I do care, but goblins, I don't care if I lose them on a 5+. And I was not expecting this. He's going to use his objective card where he tries to claim table quarters, and he can vanguard one of his core units. So he's going to go ahead and vanguard the Twilight Banner guys right off the bat. All I have on this side is chaff. I was basically expecting to ignore this side, and then I realized the Twilight Banner will let him move through that impassable terrain if he wanted to. So already this is kind of bad news for me. Here's the rest of the vanguards. He's moving his Pegasus Knights up. I'm moving my big balls to level 1 up, trying to swing them around to get to that trebuchet, and these wolf riders here that you can barely see at the bottom. So since he prays, I automatically get first turn, And my Night Goblins reward me by feeling animosity and running straight forward at his mounted yeoman that he had vanguarded up. And if you see that big pile of models, we made a big mistake where we thought at the end of every player turn, final transmutation went off, but instead it's at the end of the turn. So those are all the Night Goblins I thought died to Gary Busey there, but they actually don't, and I'll put them back once we read the rules more correctly. So the rest of my turn in Magic, I miscast with Irresistible Force here, trying to put a headbutt on his. I think it was his level one. This back there in that lance unit I could had range for. And then I roll a one to wound, and my miscast I do a wound to myself. Other than that, I think I run over one of my own fanatics on the charge. I might have forgot that I had two fanatics in that unit because I don't remember running over two fanatics. I don't see where the other fanatic is. I kill like one of his yeomen. He kills a couple of night goblins. I think we thought it was a draw, but technically I probably should have had another rank because I think that's final trans at the end. Yeah, I think it was just a draw. And then I killed like seven or eight with final trans, and I'm gonna put them back once we realize that they shouldn't have actually died. And then my Doom Divers are gonna scatter very, very badly to where I'm trying to shoot them on the general's unit. But one is going to be able to redirect onto the small lance. I'm going to kill four of them. Other one goes towards the archers, and I think I killed two or three archers. But that's basically my turn. I'm trying to slow down this lance coming up on here on the right. Oh, and I think yeah, go ahead and you don't see in the picture, but I get my big boss all the way around so that it can try to go to the trebuchet next turn. So, Brettonia Tone Run, he's going to charge this Pegasus Knights, which you don't see in this picture, at my level 1 Shaman, and I'm like, I'll hold there because if I flee, I'm going to be off the table, and I'd rather have those Pegasus Knights on the opposite side of the table, not have to deal with them. They're going to charge in and easily kill the level 1. He'll reform his archers on that hill, and they'll shoot at my big boss and do a wound. Now, here on the lower left, I had a chariot there. My objective card, all I have to do is successfully flee, get 500 victory points. I decided to hold with my chariot because I'm like, I don't want both the lances to come in my savages at once. Maybe he won't do a good overrun to make that first lance come in. I know he's not going to charge both lances at the chariot because he cannot do it in a way where one of those lances wouldn't overrun right onto that mangler, and that's not what he wants to have happen. So of course he fails the charge with the lances up the top of the picture. He destroys the chariot, and of course he does overrun into my savages. I should have just fled and took the easy 500 points. Now, also in this turn, his trebuchets are going to do very little, but he's going to move a small knight unit up to try to claim 100 victory points, and it's going to get destroyed by Fenrir Transmutation. And this is also when we realize the mistake we made. So I'll put my Night Goblins back on right now, and then in the next picture you're going to see the damage that's going to happen to them. Now here's what actually happens to my Night Goblins, what they lose to Final Transmutation. I will lose this combat, but I'm going to roll my 5 so my Night Goblins will stick around. Now by turn 2, I have perfect mangler shots into 2 lances, one on each side. You see this mangler here, it goes through, it does a good amount of damage to this lance that's gone into my savage unit. Unfortunately, it moves a little bit too much so that the other lance can now still get by it, and I have to run through it to charge my savages. I move this chariot up, I'm thinking, he'll charge it, I'll hold, and I hope he doesn't overrun enough to get into my savages so that I can then countercharge into the flank of that, big night bust that has his general level 4 and his BSB all in it. But over here, this mangler goes through this lance, and I think it only kills like one knight. Perfect knight shot. I can't complain because this knight unit is really not going to be effective for most of the game for me to worry about because I'm able to slow it down. And I did so much damage to the knight unit I really needed to do damage to. But I can't complain. I hold again in the center fight. It's not going to be a picture of this, but this is extremely embarrassing. My big boss goes into the trebuchet and is killed by trebuchet crewmen. Completely embarrassing. Otherwise, in the fight with the savages, I'm going to make another blunder. I'm going to make way with my great shaman because he has Fist of Gorkov, and I'm going to get killed by a paladin before I can even strike. Otherwise, I win the combat, but he's going to stick. He basically had rubber lances. And Brett turn 2, of course, the plan is destroyed. He's going to charge the chariot. Again, if I had fled, if I could have got away, I could have got 500 victory points. My plan was that he was not going to be able to overrun and actually charge my trolls in. But he does overrun, and he does destroy it and overrun enough to hit the savages. Also, his other lance is going to come in there. So now I'm fighting 3 lances instead of 1. His Peg Knights are going to charge Baby Groot, and his other knights, you can't see in this picture, will charge Wolf Riders, destroy them, and go off the table. At least in this one fight here, my Night Goblins are going to beat off the Mounted Yeoman, and the one guy who's left is going to get away. But otherwise, his magic, he's really only going to get Savage Beast off on his center lance. He doesn't do a bubble Savage Beast, so that's basically going to save my savages. And also in shooting, one of his trebuchets is going to blow up. I'm not sure what the other trebuchet was shooting at. Over here, he's going to kill Baby Groot with his Pegasus Knights. The knight in the back, the Pegasus in the back, I think gets killed because when they go through the forest. Now look at these savages. They're going to hold. He barely does any damages. With all these paladins, his general, his BSB, 2 charges, I've still got 30 savages there. I remember I made a ton of 6-up wards. I'm not going to do much damage back. I know I do lose, and I lose Frenzy, but I'm going to hold. My general and BSB are in range. Now I have him, trolls coming in his flank. Hopefully I can clean this up. So top of my turn 3, I did have the dream scenario, trolls in the flank, and you can see this table is a complete mess now. Like, the whole battle line's completely broken apart. I will lose, but didn't lose by enough where my trolls are going to flee, and my savages do break. They have been really run down at this point, because Savage, he had rubber lance at the first time, but with the Savage Beast on 2 paladins, he was really able to tear them up. They break. The 2 knights units who can pursue them run them down, but that's for the best because I've killed his general. I still have his BSB in level 4, and that knight unit fight my trolls. Their days are numbered, so I'm gonna get a whole ton of points. So losing the savages is not going to be a big deal. My Night Goblins have also, at the top of the table there, chased off that Mounted Yeoman off the table. And now I have to try to get them back towards the center so I can start getting victory points for that. I probably should have went ahead and reformed them and moved back, but if the Mounted Yeoman had rallied, forgot there's only 1 of them, so he only needed double ones. I was thinking it could rally on 7, and then come into my rear and destroy the Night Goblins. I forgot that it would have needed double ones. But anyway, my Doom Drivers are also going to wipe out his Pegasus Knight, so I've had a pretty big turn, even though I've lost my Savage Biggins. So Brett turn 3, this is the end of the turn, and as you see, I have finished off that unit that had his level 4 general and BSB in it. Luckily, my trolls do not pursue so far that they're out of general range. They're still pretty close to my general and BSB, so I can reform them on my turn, and then I'm gonna have to rescue my general and BSB by getting them out of that bunker because it has 2 lances coming at them. Now, if you look at the little banner guy at the bottom there, his level 1 was in that unit. It tries to cast something at my bunker. He's going to miscast. It really does no damage to me. And he's going to basically destroy the entire unit except for his standard bearer in that knight unit. He passes his panic test, but all he has left is 1 knight in that unit right there. So my turn 4. I've got to regroup my lines now. I reformed the trolls. Then I moved my BSB and general into the troll unit. We have a rule where if you have off-base models, you can't put more than 2 into the unit. So I can't get my level 1 orc in there. So I just moved him behind my bunker, and so I have to have my bunker reformed because there's 2 lances. Even though there's only 1 knight, 1 lance, both lances are still getting decent charge range of that bunker. So I had to get my 2 main characters out of that unit. Now my manglers are both moving randomly around. Reformed my Night Goblins up on top. And basically, without my level 4, I really have no magic other than my level 1. And I think he's the one who had Foot of Gork, but he doesn't get it off, or it doesn't do anything. And his other lance has been coming by and slowly killing War Machine. So all I have, I think, at this point is 1 Doom Driver, 1 Rock Lava, and it also really does no damage. And this is kind of a pretty quick turn because we're like all discombobulated, where units are kind of scattered all about. Now his turn 4, and again these are pretty quick turns now because there's not much left. He's gonna charge this lone knight into it. That's my night goblins. He doesn't charge the rest of the knights in there, and that one knight is gonna beat off those night goblins. It doesn't run them down, but that's kind of embarrassing. Then his lone trebuchet is gonna land right on my BSB. But I say it doesn't get a lookout, sir, because of his, the monster infantry unit now. And so he kills my BSB. So he's getting some decent little bitty points here at the end. And this is a look at this side of the table. As you can see those knights up there, they've cleared off most of everything I could throw at them on this side of the table. Those are all low point items. I was units and stuff that was worth slowing them down because the fewer lances you have to fight at once, I feel like it's the better. So having this lance out of the game most of the game and have the Pegasus Knights mostly taken care of, it really helped me. So I was only having to fight 3 lances and a small lance, and so I had to fight 4 lances, a small lance, and a Pegasus Knights all at the same time. Okay, my turn 5. And don't ask me to explain how in the world my general has 2 wounds on him. I have no idea. He did not have any wounds on him in turn 4. I don't know what what in the world happened to give him 2 wounds, but he has 2 wounds. Um, Also, there's Baby Groot there, so it must have been my other K-Squig that the Pegasus Knights killed. Um, okay, I rallied those Night Goblins. My Doomdiver and Rocko try to kill that lone knight so I can get the full points for that night bust, but they're not able to kill it. You know, again, the only magic I have, I think, is Foot of Gork on my level 1, and I don't really do anything. I have no idea. I know we were going fast at this point, but I just do not know how I got 2 wounds of my general. So his turn 5, he's going to charge his lone knight at my night goblins who had rallied, and his other lance at my Doomdiver and get it. I don't see that other lance that was near the troll. I don't know if it doesn't fit because they were there his last turn and they didn't charge in. So that's the only thing I could think of that could have charged and done damage to my general. I don't see that lance on the table. I have no idea. I just have no idea what wounded that goblin on my turn. But for right now, my night goblins are going to hold again against his knight. So finally come to my turn 6. I'm able to march my night goblins up so that I'll be able to get 100 points this turn as long as they're not wiped out, and 300 points at the end of the game. I reformed my big troll unit just in case, so they would be there at the end of the game with Fortitude with my general to make sure I got that 300 points, as long as I didn't roll a 6 for my general and have him killed. That was basically my turn. I think I only had the rock lava left, and I couldn't kill that lone. Well, I couldn't shoot the lone knight. That lone knight does break my night goblin unit and run them down now. So when we go to his turn 6, this Mangler had moved back in front of him again. I think it moved through the unit, and I think he's finally going to take a paladin out and just stomp on that squid guy, and finally have it killed, so that it's 80 points for me, 65 points for him. So when we come to the end of the game, Final Transmutation does not wipe out my Night Goblins, so I'm going to claim 100 plus 300 points, having them within 6 inches of Busey here at the end of the game. So we're going to add this up, and it's going to be a victory for the Orcs. And if you've noticed something, I forgot to flee a unit. Oh my god. The easiest 500 points you could ever get. And I had multiple chances to do it, and I kept saying, well, I need to hold these guys, I need to hold these guys up. And I never had a point. We both looked at each other like, I never fled to get the easy 500 points. I cannot believe it. So I've screwed myself out of 500 easy points. But I still got a pretty big victory. The final transmutation guy, which was really scary, it didn't hurt that much. It only killed goblins, and I think his 2 knights, I think that's all it really killed, because we were avoiding it as much as possible during the game. And I do think that helped me out better, because it split his forces more than he probably really wanted them to be split because of that in the middle. Even though I thought it was going to hurt me a lot because I thought I could just move right over it. But it turns out with orcs nowadays, you don't want them to advance too much. You want them to sit back. So, having all this impassable terrain in the middle of the table is not really hurting me as bad as it used to. So this was a pretty good victory, and it was another really bloody game where I really don't have the trolls left, and my general and some squigs and stuff running all around in my little night goblin unit, and I think I had the one rock lava. He had, I think, only like the soul knight, a little one lance was on a hill, and some archers and a trebuchet was all he had left. So, and his I think one paladin or two paladins or something like that. So it was a really bloody game. I just hate that I screwed myself out of my 500 points. But anyway, this was a lot of fun. It was a good way to end the day. We'll have my game 4 the next day versus Undead Legions, and if I'd only had my extra 500 points, maybe I could have fought Ken in game 4 because he's been at the table next to me every game, and you know that makes me know I'm close for trying to get best orc, but he's always a table ahead of me, at least one or two tables ahead of me. So maybe those 500 points I could have played him, and we could have had a big orc versus orc to see who could be really the best orc. But alas, it was not to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you next time for game 4. Thanks for listening.